I was 5 years old when I asked my mom the most infamous question a kid will ever ask his parents. My mom had just picked me up from preschool, and I looked up at her with pure curiosity and said, "Mom, where do babies come from?" Whoa, no, I don't know what's worse, when kids ask that question or some of the answers parents try and come up with. Kids ask all kinds of questions. Some we all might remember are we there yet? Is Santa Claus real? Why do I have to go to sleep? It's not even dark out. Dad, but why? But why? Seriously, but why? We've been asking questions and receiving answers our entire lives, sometimes without even knowing it. I mean, there are big questions and little questions. There are smart questions and dumb questions. There's even the classic good question. But why are there questions? If we go back to the beginning and think about it in the simplest of ways, we come to one conclusion. Everything starts with a question. First, we discover that by not asking questions, we fail to receive answers. Next, we realize the personal growth that occurs in the search for the answers we seek. And finally, we learn to accept the fact that the hardest questions we'll ever ask ourselves simply do not have an answer. Whenever I find myself doubting my ability to ask something, I think of my friend Mikey. Mikey's now a sophomore at my home chapter, North Clackamas. And he was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome at a very young age. This created challenges for Mikey to connect with other people and created challenges in other aspects of his life. However, right around the end of his freshman year, something changed, and Mikey was a completely different person. Before, Mikey may have kept quiet with any questions he had. Now, if you run into Mikey, you had better be prepared to play a long, one-sided game of 20 questions. What's going on? When are we going outside? What are we in class today? What's for lunch? What's a goat? Are you a goat? How tall are you? How tall am I? Can you take me home? Now, the person Mikey was asking may not have always had the answers he was seeking, but that didn't stop him from finding it. He would ask and ask and ask until he found his answer. Fear of the answer stopped him from asking the question. Now, Mikey had an extreme passion for animals, and although he wasn't able to become a full-time employee at our program's student-run land lab, he has shown up to class 45 minutes early for the past 2 years to make sure those animals got fed properly. These actions were taken by Mikey simply for the joy of discovering an answer. At times in our lives, we let the fear of the answer stop us from asking the question. This is the first way we are affected by questions. Sometimes it's hard to know where you'll find your inspiration in life. We can all be inspired by Mikey and his true ability to ask anything he desires an answer to without fear of what the answer will be. He truly leaves nothing unanswered. Now, Mikey wasn't always this way. When I first described him, I said connections were challenging, and he might have even been a little shy. Now, booming with confidence, Mikey will ask any question he deems pertinent to finding his answers. Well, I think we're all wondering, what happened? Because of Mikey's choices to live his life unanswered and his lack of fear for asking questions, he obviously experienced some personal growth. It was evident to all who had the opportunity to grow with Mikey that this growth came not from the receiving of the answer, but only in the search for the answer itself. Mikey has now presented speeches of his very own, and last summer, for the first time ever, he was able to leave his mom's side and show a lamb at the Clackamas County Fair. He has been on medication for Asperger's syndrome his entire life, and recently this medication has been cut in half. Now, we can accredit this to a lot of things, but we have to realize that, in fact, credit has to go to the incredible journey he's undergone to finding answers in his life. Ladies and gentlemen, personal growth occurs not in the receiving of the answer, but only in the harsh process undergone in discovering the answer itself. Now, as we think about the two effects questions have on us, the fear they instill in us that keeps us from asking, and the growth that ensues with the search for our answers, it's almost impossible not to think about those specific questions in our lives and their effect on us. A few months ago, I requested on Facebook that Oregon FFA members message me with a question they ask themselves every single day and continually fail to find an answer to. The responses that were received brought tears to my eyes and, put quite simply, broke my heart. I chose a select few to share with you today.
He cries in the corner where nobody sees. He's the kid with the story no one would believe. He prays every night, dear God, won't you please, could you send someone here who will love me? Who will love me for me, not for what I have done or what I will become. Who will love me for me, 'cause nobody has shown me what love really means. Her office is shrinking a little each day. She's the woman whose husband has run away. She'll go to the gym after working today.
Look around. These are questions that people in this very audience ask themselves every single day and fail over and over again to find an answer to. I've been there. I am there. A few months ago when I received these questions, I promised an answer to those who asked them. But after 19 years of searching for an answer of my own, how could I ever expect to find an answer for someone else? Well, I thought about it for weeks, reflected on it in countless ways, and prayed relentlessly for an answer that just didn't seem to come. And then it hit me. These questions that seem so daunting, so unanswerable, must remain exactly that, unanswered. The hardest questions we will ever ask ourselves, the ones that were shared with us today by members from all across the state, simply do not have an answer. The sooner we can have the faith to accept the fact that the hardest questions in life simply do not have an answer, the sooner we will find the answer we've been searching for our entire life. Our lives are full of questions. And when our lives are finally full, what questions will we have answered? Today, let's be inspired by Mikey and ask those questions we've always been afraid to ask. Know and understand the growth that occurs in the search for your answers, just as Mikey experienced that same growth. Have the faith to accept the fact that the hardest questions in life simply do not have an answer. Oregon FFA, will you let the fear of the answer stop you from leaving questions unanswered? When you have found an answer, will you move on to the next question, or will you stop and reflect on the growth that has occurred because you've chosen to live your life unanswered? When you are faced with the most heart-wrenching questions that call for you to waste your time and effort searching for an answer, will you have the faith to accept the fact that it must remain unanswered? Our lives are full of questions. And when our lives are finally full, what questions will you have answered?